Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 13 of Touring the Londonverse. I'm your host ScottBGaming and today we'll be looking at a promotion known as Xtreme Combat Wrestling. Now I know some of you out there will be looking forward to this, as it has been suggested in a few of the videos that this be one of the next companies that I cover. We're going to the land of hardcore, or the home of hardcore. Again, you'll know the deal by now. I've selected James' avatar with the stats default right down the centre. Simmed up to their first show, which, well, I say I simmed, it's on the first day of Monday of week 1. So didn't need to sim at all, so it was just starting the game as is. Go into it here. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and we'll go to the main hub of the promotion. Now here we can see that we're regional size, we're 21st in the rankings in the starting data of the Londonverse, got $500,000 in the kitty, prestige is at D-, momentum C-, and we've got our first show, XCW Hardcore Heaven 2015, which will be airing tonight. So let's take a look at the roster. And we start off with 187, or the notorious 187. Hardened street thug, got the gangster gimmick. It gets over pretty well. I mean, he's 35 years of age. His tag team partner is also in this company, I believe, in Drive-By. See him very shortly. One of the better workers in the company, as far as all-round skills go, with the hardcore and brawling. As entertainment's not too bad, it's not great, but again, you have to bear in mind that the expectations have to be tempered in relation to how big the company is. As this is regional, anything that's over OK is fantastic for this level. So 187 is a main eventer, and I think deserving of his spot on there. There are some characters that I prefer in this company. Some of you may have heard of them before, some of you may not, so that's something to look forward to. Move on from 187 to Aaron Jenkins. Basically, he's an over-enthusiastic announcer, works for the company, never wrestles, obviously. 30 years of age, his announcing work is okay, not to the same hyperbole that Joey Styles would have used, so he doesn't have that, oh my god, in his voice, doesn't do that. But everything else I'd imagine being on a par with a Joey Styles. Not too much to say about that gentleman. Move on now to Andre Richings. Now he's a bit of an oddity in this company insofar as he's not known as a hardcore worker. However, he is pretty talented. He's done quite well on the independent scene, so he's made a name for himself and he's managed to get a call to a company on XCW's level. Now, whilst he doesn't fit in with the hardcore garbage matches as such, I see him filling a role more of the Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, that kind of worker as they were in ECW. Not saying Richings is anywhere near that level talent-wise, but he's the equivalent in XCW. Now we're about to see my favourite character, and a lot of people's favourite characters in this company. This is Anus. Now Anus is a dirty looking bugger. He's just one half the XCW Tag Team Champions, and he will take over the free world. In-ring wise, pretty average. Even his hardcore brawling stats aren't great, but just the dude's called Anus. I mean, what more do you want? He's part of the tag team with Scruffy Joe, known as the Inbreds, I think, if I recall correctly. I'll have to look at the tag team name shortly. But just a great spectacle of a human being. And a lot of people really, really like Anus. In many respects, but this one being... you know what I mean, it's fine, I don't need to go over that. Move on now to another one of my favourites in the company, and that's Bobo the Hardcore Clown. Barbaric brawls are his speciality, got a psychopath style. Psychopath. Clown gimmick, obviously. I mean, if you couldn't tell that, you're probably, not paying attention. Pretty damn good in the ring. 28 years of age as well, so he's got time to improve. I don't see him going to really any other company, stateside at least, because of the kind of work that he would base himself on. Having said that, it'd be interesting look to see him go to the Oriental Fight Club, which was covered in episode 7, if I recall correctly, just to see him go in there with the likes of Mimic, who obviously, well, not obviously, but allegedly inspired Bobo the Hardcore Clown. I mean, for this company, it's just great. It's everything you want. Move on now to Kasim the Dream. Now, Kasim is very much in the same mould of the Andre Richings, insofar as he's not known as a hardcore worker. Having said that, again, that's the kind of person that he could be competing with in the ring, the Andre Richings of the world. Not going to get to the main event scene in this company. He's at mid-carder status at the moment. That's probably his ceiling for this company. And that's not to say that he couldn't go on to bigger and better things elsewhere. It's just when you are known as a hardcore company, which XCW very much is, I think it does put a bit of a cap on where you can go. But I like the guy. He's got a cool gimmick, mid-card face. I have no problems with him. Move on now to Donny Dreads. Now, Donny Dreads, again, isn't necessarily a hardcore worker, but he's got the ability to compete in that arena, a bit more so than the Cassim and Andre Richards. Lightweight, again, I do like him. I do probably prefer him to Andre Richards. I have him on a par with Cassim. 29 years of age. Again, he's someone who could find work in another company and do quite well for himself. Got the cool gimmick. Not a bad hand to have on your roster. Now, Mr. Drake Young. And Arrogant epitomises this man. He is, from what I remember, an absolute dickhole backstage. Got a good look though, I will have to say. He's kind of got a badass vibe to him. Plays the cocky youth to a T, 24 years of age. Known as the Extreme Future, but if his attitude persists in the way that I've seen it develop, probably not going to be long for this company, and I think very few people would want to touch him unless he seriously ups his personality. But again, you can't have everyone being angels backstage, so some people might like that about him. I think it'd cause more headaches than it might be worth in the short term. Long term, he could change, obviously. Move on now to Drive-By, the tag team partner of 187. 33 years of age, nowhere near as good as 187 as far as I'm concerned. Beyond that, he can do the Rumble statistic or the Rumble aspect of the game pretty well, but quite a forgettable character if I have to say. Eddie Van Cortlandt, the Devil's Advocate. Quite a deep character, I guess, more of an intellectual of sorts. Has the cool gimmick going for him, but he kind of uses it more on a heel basis in terms of someone you love to hate. I mean, at least that's how I see him being in this company. But his hardcore and brawling, very good. He's a low mid-carder, and I think he could actually get up to be almost on main event level, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think he has that potential to be on that level. Move on now to the Samoan War Machine, Ekba. Now, he's an upper mid-carder, face machine gimmick, just a bruising hulk of a man, I think. Oh, well, I say hulk, he's a middleweight, but I just imagine him to be built like a tank, as it were. Rumble skills are strong, not particularly great at hardcore, if I remember. But, again, upper mid-carder. Yeah, that's probably about right. Maybe I would have had him as a mid-carder, but certainly someone that you have potential to maybe even elevate to the main event scene with the likes of your Bobo, the Hardcore Clowns, and to a lesser extent, Anus. Now, Evan Calvert, I think he was the founder of this company, and as I look at the bio, it does indeed confirm that. Basically, he saw a niche in the market that wasn't being catered for. Here comes XCW to kind of fill that need with their 18 to 35 male demographic. Now, it hasn't gone to the level, this certainly isn't at the level ECW was in the real world in the 90s, but it's in a similar vein. Unfortunately, as I've taken control of the company for this video, he really doesn't serve a purpose on the roster, but again, if you're not playing as them, he does serve. Move on now to Floyd Hart, the self-proclaimed man of the millennium and prissy boy. Lightweight, regular wrestler, upper mid-carder. I think that's probably a bit too high for him in this company, but I would see big things for him in companies elsewhere, such as even like Empire State Wrestling, who we haven't covered, or the California Wrestling Organisation, which we have. I think if he was in somewhere like the CWO, he'd probably be a very good shout to be a main eventer there. Egomaniac character, very self-serving, but I do like the character. Not the best fit for this company, but again, you will find some that don't quite fit the mould, but I think that's a good thing. It kind of challenges people to try and get them over in that kind of environment to a certain audience that they might not necessarily have trained to perform in front of. Move on now to someone that I know will be watching this video, will be very excited to see this man, and that's Fluffy, the straight edge emo. One of the very early characters that got put into this day, so I think the render still actually holds up with some of my recent work. You may notice that some of my older renders might not look as nice or as clean as some of the newer ones, but I think this one does actually hold up with some of the better ones I've done. I do like the guy. He's got the technician gimmick, which I think is very interesting for this level of company, although he is only an enhancement talent. And I'll be honest with you, he would be my pet project in this company. I would get him definitely higher up the card. Maybe not to main eventer, but certainly at least mid-card status. James Avatar, that's myself. Jonas Craig, the colour commentator. He, I think, is actually the booker as well for the company, which, again, will mean that he doesn't have a purpose in that respect, as I'll be doing the booking for the show. But, again, he'll fill the role of being a colour commentator. I'm happy with that. Nothing particularly exciting to tell you about Jonas Craig. Move on now to Kid Fight, just a scrappy dappy do. Scrappy dappy do, just a scrappy competitor. Almost like a Napoleon syndrome, but he's got that hair trigger temper where he can just snap and just tear into people. Opener, Street Fighter gimmick. I think I would push him as taking an arse beating in a lot of fights, but not willing to stay down. A bit like your Mikey Whipwreck if Mikey Whipwreck had attitude when we started off. But also not quite as useless as Mikey Whipwreck. But that's a comparison that I've made there. He wasn't inspired by him, but that's how I would use him going forward. Right, now we move to the XCW champion, Kyle Barker. Someone who's far too good to be in this company, but he's got loyalty to the owner, Evan Calvert. Now, honestly, there'll be a lot of people that would take him to several companies, but he is loyal to the company, and I think he's unfortunately shot himself in the foot in that regard because he could go on to bigger and better things. Be interesting to see if XCW were to go out of business, how he would do or where he would go, because obviously then he'd be free to go anywhere. Could even see him going to somewhere like CWE potentially, Championship Wrestling Elite. I could see that. But by far the best in-ring competitor in this company. Badass gimmick. You see he's got the MMA gloves on there, ready to kick ass, and he's a deserving champion. And were it not for him being in the main event, the shows would suck for the most part. Obviously, depending on who you brought in, or the free agents out there, or the available workers, but by far the best in-ring talent we have. Ice Cold Luca Fresley. Bit of a nomad because he's gone through a few promotions. I think he's been to Empire State Wrestling, Dragon Gate, and he said Dynamite USA, and now he's here in XCW. Mid-carder, I would push him towards the main event purely because I think he could hang on the level of Kyle Barker. Certainly not as talented in ring wise, but he's just a step or two below. He's not the most charismatic. He has a pretty decent look about him though, and his in-ring stuff is decent. I mean, he's got strong and technical. Sorry, he's got rumble and technical, both at strong. That's pretty good for this level. Also a Croatian. He might be the only Croatian in the data at this point as well, until we develop the European scene a bit more. Move on now to the Bollywood player, Pradeep Khan. 28 years of age, cruiserweight competitor. Got the show stealer gimmick. I prefer him to Aaron Jenkins, Andre Richings, Kasim and Donny Dreads. I don't know why, I quite like Pradeep Khan. Got an interesting look about him with the spiked ginger hair. It's an interesting gimmick. Again, he's not filling the hardcore niche, as it were, but definitely someone who's decent to have on the roster. Again, I could see him going elsewhere and making a name in other promotions, but at the moment he forms a tag team with Floyd Hart, which is known as the Bollywood Connection. Quite happy with that. Another fantastic character in this promotion is Raven Nevermore. Very much inspired by Edgar Allan Poe's legendary poem. Similar in many respects to Raven, not got the same look, but that's the vibe that Raven Nevermore's going for. He's an upper mid-carder, a face, a cult gimmick, someone who I could see eventually becoming the champion in the company. Because you can't leave the title on Kyle Barker forever. So this is one of the guys I'd consider having him drop the title to, as he's pretty good in technical and rumble. So he's probably the step in between Kyle Barker and Luca Fresley. Ray Williams, just an out-and-out brawler. He was a former journeyman boxer, main eventer in this company. Someone who I would want to phase down the card a little bit, not necessarily get rid of entirely, but certainly I wouldn't want them around the main event scene too long. He's 38 years of age, he's good at rumble, but beyond that, not particularly, nothing screams out to me, to be honest. Referee Damien Tripley, excuse me. Referee. Rottweiler. 37 years of age, veteran of the hardcore scene. Brawling and hardcore are both very good. Upper mid-carder, yeah, that's about right. Maybe borderline main eventer. Microphone and charisma are actually pretty decent as well. Menace is obviously pretty high. I just noticed he's on a written contract. Just having a quick look here, sorry. Yeah, because they're all pay per appearance except Rottweiler's on a written for some reason, so I need to amend that in the data because there's no one in this company that should be on a written contract whatsoever. Someone I'm happy to have around the upper mid card, if not the main event. Again, you'd have to look to the future, so maybe we want to eventually look at a long-term replacement for him being 37 years of age. But again, Pitbull gimmick obviously goes with the Rottweiler name. Scruffy Joe, the tag team partner of Mr. Anus, claiming to hail from under a bridge near you. Dirty, scruffy looking bugger, but entertaining, and that's what his style is. Not as popular in my books as Anus, but he is one half of the tag team champion, so we can't discredit him too much. 33 years of age, so he does have time on his side when Anus decides to hang up the... What would an Anus hang up? Actually, let's not go down that road. I think Scruffy Joe would potentially be a long-term replacement for him, even though he's only, I think, 4 years younger. But still 4 years, isn't it? Lower mid-carder, maniac gimmick, fair enough. The Ghanaian Grizzly, Sheik Balazar, 43 years young, oldest member of the roster. Heavyweight, main eventer, savage gimmick. Hardcore is fantastic, everything else you can wipe your arse with, it's not good enough. But you can see by his blood-stained face that he's known as the Ghanaian Grizzly for a reason. One of the better workers in this, well, one of the better suited workers in this company. You could see the likes of him and Rottweiler having just absolutely horrific bloody brawls, or even Bobo the Hardcore Clown. Actually, that'd be quite fantastic. Although they're both heels. Move on now to Stevie Sanders, young, brash, and aggressive. Lightweight. You can see that the top end of XCW have got more hardcore influence workers, whereas the lower card and mid card have got a bit more diversity to it, and that's quite interesting, I think, because maybe it's suggesting that long-term XCW would not necessarily rely as heavily on their hardcore matches, which again could be changed depending on the user and how they wanted to play it, but it's something to consider. Cocky Youth, 28 years of age. I think he might be my favourite of the lower mid-card level workers. Not because he's better in the ring, because I think it's arguable that he isn't. But I think he's got a better look for him, and I could see me doing more with him storyline-wise. Move on now to Terence Hughes, the legendary hardcore brawler. Loosely based on a Terry Funk in look, if nothing else. This was the company he had his final match in, so he retired. I wouldn't have said even too long ago. He is 55 years of age, but I see him going on a bit more longer than he should have. He's used as a road agent now, but he can also do the work of manager or personality or authority figure, that kind of stuff. Theo Kruger, the ultra-aggressive Theo Kruger, lightweight, entertainer, bit of a madman, but he can do the rumble and the hardcore work pretty well for a lightweight worker, so more so than Andre Richings and Cassim and Donny Dreads. Not one of my favourite characters in this game. I think he's a bit... Bland might be a bit harsh, but I could see him being a face going in there against, much in the same way that we were looking at Kid Fight earlier, going up against the big faces and doing valiant efforts. I imagine Theo Kruger doing that from the face side, going up against the big name heels. Move on now to the car wreck of a face that's known as Trash Park Tony, 42 years of age, absolute horse shit. Which is fantastic for this company. His rumble and hardcore pretty good. Everything else, again, not even worth bothering, to be honest. I mean, look at that face. Imagine taking that home to your mother. Anyway, heavyweight worker, trash gimmick, mid-carder. Yeah, that's about fair for him. And finally, Travis Havoc. Has a little look of Kevin Steen about him, to be fair. And he hails from Ontario, Canada. That's not where, obviously, Kevin Steen hails from, even. But this is more of a hardcore work than Kevin Steen is, to be fair. Main eventer, face, badass gimmick, pretty good, in fact very good, not pretty good at all, very good for this level of company. Again, someone I could see mixing the title around with if I needed to give Carl Barker a break from holding the belts. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything on Travis Havoc. I'd have some pretty decent storylines for him, I think. And that actually brings us neatly to the end of the roster review. Now, some of you will have seen this roster previously in a video that I did on Twitch TV a few years ago. I don't think too much has changed in the XCW landscape, except now the fact that Rottweiler has a written contract, which I'll change. A pretty decent roster, nothing too special, but pretty decent all round. Don't need to run storylines, there are none set up, so that's fine. We'll have a look at the title belts. Of course, these title renders were created by Mr. MJ Stark. Thank you very much, sir. They're very, very nice titles indeed. We see the XCW singles title held by Kyle Barker here. We have XCW King of Extreme. It's a tournament that takes place, I'm not entirely sure, March. There you go. It takes place in March. You get a golden barbed wire covered bat, which I think is great. So, mainly a mid-card based title, and we've seen previous winners like Anus, 187, Rottweiler, Bobo, Hardcore Clown twice in a row even, and Ekbar. Obviously this will be updated with current date information added. And the XCW Tag Team titles as held by, I believe, one known as the Inbreds, Anus and Scruffy Joe. Right. We will now close that, and we'll have a look at the tag teams that are available. We have NYC's Finest, which is a tag team of 187 and Drive-By. Primitive Instincts, Theo Kruger and Rottweiler. The Bollywood Connection, which is Floyd Hart and Pradeep Khan. The Extreme Revolution, Drake Young and Stevie Sanders. I see that tag team having all kinds of problems. The Inbreds, Anus and Scruffy Joe. And your favourite tag team, Donny Dreads and Cassim. So, pretty decent tag team division for this company. You've got a lot of options there. And finally, the creative meeting we'll have a look at. Franchise players, Kyle Barker goes without saying. Ray Williams, 187, Travis Havoc and Sheik Balazar. Next big thing's none. Hot prospects, Cassim, Bobo the Hardcore Clown. Drake Young, Andre Richings and Kid Fight. Talk the Talk, Eddie Van Cortland, Carl Barker, Ray Williams, Sheik Balazar and Floyd Hart. Showstoppers, we've only got Carl Barker and Eddie Van Cortland. Ring Generals, the same two individuals. Who's hot? No one. Who's not? Scruffy Joe, Pradeep Khan, Andre Richings, Eddie Van Cortland and Stevie Sanders. Time Decline, Trash Park Tony, Sheik Balazar and Ray Williams. All people I'd expect to be on there. Hidden Gems, this will be interesting to see if the Hidden Gems are picking up more of the hardcore influence workers that are available so far in the free agency. And it's, well, one of them you could argue, Ed Stein, Clayton Purdy, Vince Borden, Benson Heat and Chris Boone. Chris Boone's probably the only one that would actually make it onto the XCW roster, I would have thought. Anyway, that's fine. So now we want to have a look at booking the show. So let's go to the next page. We saw Marcus still in the AWF episode, or episode 1 and 2 of this series that we covered. Certainly not someone I'd see in XCW. Auto booked a venue, so that's great, we don't have to worry about that. Locker room incidents. Okay, Ray Williams and Trash Park Tony, I'm interested to see where this is going. I was certain it was going to be one of the younger guys on the roster causing some shit, and these two might have caused some shit. Ray Williams almost got into a fight with Trash Park Tony. I'm not sure what would end up worse, Trash Park Tony's face or Ray Williams' fist. I mean, neither one of them are going to come out winners on that. Damaged his rental car and refused to pay for it. Okay, I'm fining him because obviously he caused damage, whatever. Ray Williams, I will kick your journeyman ass out of this company so fast with fucking punch bag arms won't even work. That doesn't make sense. Right, we'll go on. I'm okay with that. Okay, right, 2 hour show. I'm going to have the main event not be a hardcore match because I don't want to put Carl Barker in that situation where I could get him injured, even though it's just for this one show. So we'll put this gentleman here, and we'll have him go up against... I'm trying to think who I want him to go up against title. Travis Havoc, actually. I think that'll be fun. No, they're both faces. That won't work. Nearly did a face versus face match again there. Right, who on this roster? There we go. So 187 could work. Ray Williams could work, although I don't want it to. I guess it'll have to be 187 purely because I don't want the other ones to go in there against him. So we'll have that be the main event. Have it go a fair amount of time, 19 minutes. Put the XCW title on the line. Just notice that it's not selecting Terence Hughes automatically, unfortunately, to be the road agent, so I'll sort that out. So we want Carl Barker to get the win. We want 187 to lose. Open match, but beyond that I don't really mind. Let's get Mr. Terence Hughes there. Okay, fantastic. So that's the main event set. Obviously put the tag team titles on the line. Don't worry, I'm going to put some hardcore matches on here. Don't stress about that. Don't stress, Princess. We'll be fine. Okay, so the inbreds are going to teach a bit of a lesson to the Extreme Revolution. We're going to have, obviously, the inbreds winning. You can't have Anus lose on the only show I'm doing is XCW so far. Definitely not 15 minutes. 10 minutes would be nice. I use the term nice very loosely here. So, Terence Hughes. We will have Anus win. Open match, the rest I literally couldn't care less about. Again, if I was doing this for diary purposes, I'd be going into so much detail that you'd probably be bored stupid, so you're welcome, people. Now here's where we want a hardcore match. That will do. And we'll have Sheik Balazar taking on Rottweiler, as I kind of suggested earlier. Anything goes between these two gentlemen. And I'm going to have Sheik Balazar win. Alright, so we'll change this. Sheik Balazar win. Rottweiler to lose. Open match, don't mind beyond that. I also want, just in a regular match, Travis Havoc to take on Raven Nevermore, because I like that combination. Oh no, they're face! They're both freaking faces. Okay. Okay. No, saving for a hardcore match. Don't know what I was thinking there. We will have Luca Fresley, who must be a heel, he is. Go up against Travis Havoc. No, I've made a decision here against Ekbar. I'll let the computer pick this one because I really don't have a preference here. I'll just make sure Terence Hughes is doing the road agency work. Move that back. And we want a bloody match. Yeah, death match with Bobo the Hardcore Clown. And he will be going up against... Who do I want him to go up against? It's got to be someone he can beat. See, I don't think Raven Nevermore's going to want to be in this match. Oh no, there you go, Theo Kruger. That's someone who I don't mind getting stuffing kicked out of him. Now he's probably going to tell me he doesn't want to do this kind of match. Obviously Bobo's going to get the win here. Loser, Theo Kruger. Don't need to worry about that. Don't even care if it's open, to be fair. Fair enough, Theo Kruger took that. Okay, now I do want a tag team match. Not going to be anything gimmick-wise, but want to get Raven Nevermore. And might as well do Travis Havoc. Have him go up against Ray Williams and another heel. Trash Park Tony, probably not. Eddie Van Cortland. Yeah, we'll do Eddie Van Cortland. Gonna have the faces win this, because Ray Williams is a twat. Okay. Raven Nevermore, in fact, I'm going to let have the win. Try and push him up to main event status by beating Ray Williams. I don't care if Ray Williams complains. Fine, that's my fault. Okay, so Terence Hughes, road agent. Now watch Ray Williams complain. He's unhappy. Tough shit. That's the hand you've been dealt. Go fuck yourself. Okay, move back. Right, now do I have that go on? No, I'll leave that there. And we'll have one more match. Bit of a multi-man scramble, I think we'll go for. Nope, that's what I want. Just a four-way. I'll put in some of these people. So I'll have Kid Fight in there. Andre Richings will go in there. Floyd Hart. And Fluffy. I know that's mostly heels, but I'm okay with that. And I'll let them go all out. So I want Floyd Hart to win. Don't mind who loses. Open match. And all out. Okay, so I'm happy with that, but I haven't selected Terence Hughes. Okay, now I have. Okay, now I need to put a couple of angles on here. So, add an angle. I'll open the show by having Floyd Hart kind of lay down a bit of an open challenge and have lots of people come out and accept it. But we'll just have promo singles generic, so he's just basically bigging himself up. Floyd Hart. Let that go. 4 minutes. Move that back. So open the show. We will have a beatdown, I think. Beatdown in ring. And it will be Bobo the Hardcore Clown continuing to beat the crap out of Theo Kruger after the match finished. Maybe Theo did a little bit better than what he wanted and he's taking it out on him. Not that long ago. Okay. And I can technically run the show. And I might do that actually. I might do that. As I said, it's just the one show to give you a flavour for the company, so this is fine. And we'll go to run show. That did much better than I thought it was going to. Floyd Hart cuts a promo, just talking about how great he is. Gets a C, which I'm very impressed by. And again, this show was taking place in front of 999 people at the Queen City Ballroom. And I don't know why I was clicking down, that's stupid. And here we have a match that had an average crowd reaction and some decent in-ring action. Floyd Hart defeated Kid Fight Andre Richings and Fluffy in 8 minutes 26 when Floyd Hart defeated Kid Fight by pinfall with a Heart Stopper. Kid Fight got a lot of static from the vocal crowd who clearly weren't impressed. Yeah, what can you do? In a bout that had solid in-ring action and average heat, the Inbreds defeated the Extreme Revolution in 9 minutes 42 and Amos defeated Stevie Sanders by pinfall with a Preparation H-Bob. The Inbreds make defence number 1 of their XCW Tag Team titles. And that gets a D. Not bad. Getting better. Bobo the Hardcore Clown versus Theo Kruger. In a match that had some good action and average heat, Bobo the Hardcore Clown defeated Theo Kruger in a one-on-one versus one death match in 9 minutes 11 by pinfall with a cruel joke. Bobo the Hardcore Clown attacks Theo Kruger in the ring and leaves him down and out. D-. Meh. In a bout that had a good crowd and good action, Ekber defeated Luca Fresley in 12 minutes 5 by pinfall with a Samoan crash. D+, so the computer selected Ekber to get the win there. In a bout that had a good crowd and good action, Raven Nevermore and Travis Havoc defeated Ray Williams and Eddie Van Cortlandt in 12 minutes 4 when Raven Nevermore defeated Ray Williams by pinfall with a Last Great Sonnet. Travis Havoc was off his game. This did pretty well actually, I thought this might tank a little bit. In a bout that had a good crowd and some decent in-ring action, Sheik Balazar defeated Rottweiler in 11 minutes 55 by pinfall with an Arabian crash. Sheik Balazar was visibly tiring towards the end, fair enough. And now I think it's just the main event. Oh, just the main event. By far the best match that we put on. In a bout that had great heat and good action, Carl Barker defeated 187 in 90 minutes 23 by pinfall with a Grand Cross. Carl Barker makes defence number 1 of his XCW title. 187 was tiring a little bit towards the end, but I'm very happy with this show as it started with a C, ends with a C. Everything else in between was pretty decent for this level, I'm happy. And the show overall gets a C-, which increases our popularity in one region. So overall we can be pretty happy with the success we've had as XCW for Hardcore Heaven 2015. I'm pretty happy with that. We've covered everything from the roster, we've seen the titles, we've done a show. As far as the next episode in this series goes, again, I haven't yet decided. I'm playing it by ear, seeing which promotion I feel like covering at the time. If you have liked this video though, and please do say that you have liked this video for God's sake, hit that like button and subscribe down below. It means a great deal to me, so I can bring you some more of this content at a quite frequent basis that I have been doing. But until I see you around, thanks for stopping by guys.